Hmm. What could possibly be the book that I need to read right now? It's a novel. I should look for a novel. Well, oh, there you are. I was actually looking for a book right now, a novel that could actually help us understand and navigate the lessons that we will be having for this week. I just can't find the right one. I just can't find the right book that would actually suit to what I'm looking for. Hmm. I've been looking for this book for quite some time. I hope you didn't wait there long. Oh, oh, this could work. This could actually work. This is, by the way, this is a book named Alice in Wonderland. This was written by Lewis Carroll, and this was actually written and published in the late 19th century. So this novel was quite old. No, it's 1,000 years. It's 100 rather. It's 100 years old novel from Lewis Carroll. And during Carroll's time, it was a big hit. You know, children of all ages, even adults, every people during the time in the European countries are really dying to read Lewis Carroll's novel, which is Alice Adventures in Wonderland. You know, Alice Adventures in Wonderland is a story about fantasy, about a mythical, distorted reality. And as you all know, the protagonist of the story's name is Alice. And Alice was put into that reality, a magical world of distorted reality, because he actually one day he followed a rabbit into a rabbit hole. So Alice noticed a running, sprinting, not running, not just running, but sprinting rabbit into a rabbit hole. He follows it. He follows it, and then he jumps. She also jumps to that rabbit hole, and then for quite some time, for a few minutes, Alice was falling into that rabbit hole. It feels like it was an endless loop. It was an endless cycle of falling and not hitting into the ground. But after a few minutes of that experience, Alice finally hit the bottom of the ground, and she was amazed. She was amazed on what she saw on that particular instance or phenomena, that Alice really thought that she was actually dreaming that whole time. She thought that she was only sleeping in his bed. Now, question is, what did Alice saw during that time? Well, basically, she only saw a room. It looks empty, but when Alice glanced to the other side, to the left side of the room, she saw a table. She saw a table, a very simple, sturdy table, a wooden, sturdy table. And she saw a key, your regular key that you find, that you see in every houses. But Alice wonders, what is the purpose of the key? If there's a key, therefore maybe, just maybe, there is a door. And Alice looks for a door. But unfortunately, she was not able to see any door at all. But when she glanced to the floor, of that almost empty room, she saw a very little door. Now, after that instance, she saw a a drink. She saw a drink, a juice or a water. I'm not really sure. That was not indicated on this novel. And that drink has a label on itself, and it says "Drink me." So Alice finally drank the uh, the water or the drink itself, and what happened to him? He actually he becomes small, right? From a 5 feet tall lady, she became very small, a small person, just like um, a rat. So you imagine the height of the rat. That's how small Alice became. Now, after that, she saw uh, a cake. And guess what? That cake has a name or has a sign on it that says, "Eat me," right? And once, and Alice eats that cake. And then on her amazement, he became really big, massive and gigantic that her head actually almost hit the ceiling of that room. No? But finally, at that certain point, uh, he manages to get the key and unlock the door. And as Alice gets out of the room, the very first entity or creature that she saw was actually a caterpillar. Now, this is not your usual simple caterpillar that you commonly see in the forest or when you go out. But this caterpillar is quite magical. Why is it quite magical? Because of the fact that this caterpillar, this creature, is 2 to 3 feet tall. I don't know if you have already seen any caterpillar that has the size of that. But what's most amazing about it is that caterpillar could actually talk and could actually communicate. He knows language, and he can talk with Alice. And the first thing that this caterpillar says or said to Alice was, wait for it, "Who are you?" So Alice was kind of shocked. For a moment, for a few seconds, she was actually trying to process what she heard from this caterpillar. Aside from the fact that this caterpillar is talking, but the question itself is quite perplexing and complex. In just Alice did answer. She just said, "Well, I hardly noticed because of the fact that I've changed a lot since morning. I am many things about myself changed since morning." Now, I want you to ponder. I want you to reflect on two things about what just happened in this encounter with the caterpillar. The first one is the question of the caterpillar of on of who are you? That particular question. And the second one was Alice's answer to the question that she hardly noticed because a lot about herself changes since morning. And that is the focal point. That is one of the most significant and important question that we have to answer right now. And just like Alice that was trapped in that particular world, we often ask these questions. Just try to imagine or just try to visualize that you are actually Alice and you were trapped into this magical world of reality with a distorted reality. Now, you might visualize it, but the reality is you can imagine that you were Alice. But the reality is Alice is just like a metaphor of who we are and what we are in this world. And just like Alice, we face questions. We face questions as the magical rabbit asked on her. or with Alice of who we are. Have you ever asked yourself, really, you can be honest with me. I'm your professor in understanding this stuff. But really, have you ever wondered or asked yourself the question, who am I? What and with that question, with that particular question, what does that mean? What does that connotes or denotes with that particular question? Now, asking the question of who you are, who am I in this world, necessitates the question of what does it what does it really mean, or what does understanding the self really means, or uh, how do we define the process or the experience of understanding the self? Who am I and who you are? That's the question. Well, understanding the self basically is our ability in our conscious in is our ability to become conscious and aware of our thoughts and our feelings. Not only our feelings and our thoughts, what we think, but also our our actions, our behavior itself. Most of the time we take these questions, we take this consciousness and this awareness for granted. Have you asked yourself what are the thoughts? Have you evaluate, or have you ever assess and think about, reflect upon what are the things, what are the informations, ideas that comes into your minds, that comes into your that comes into your brain? It's the thought that you have. It's the behavior. You're being conscious. Have you been conscious? Have you ever been conscious and aware with your actions? Your actions, your behaviors, and feelings itself. No? And being aware and being conscious about these things would make us understand and make us aware about a lot of things. It would make us understand what are our weaknesses. It would make us appreciate what are our strengths. How do we react and respond with basically with other people? What motivates our actions? Understanding the self, that's how you understand yourself. You reflect, you contemplate about your feelings, your emotions, and your actions and your thoughts. There are many other philosophers and other intellectuals that tries to understand the concept or the meaning or the definition of understanding the self. The first one is George Herbert Head. He says that understanding the self is the sum this is the sum of our conscious perception about who we are, that is different or that is distinct uniquely about ourselves. What do you mean by that? The conscious perception of who we are. You know, probably right now, you know that you are different from the others. Am I right? You can't. That's a very law. That's the very basic law of logic, the law of non-contradiction. You cannot be the same as the other person because you are different from them. You are distinct from them, right? And the idea of understanding the self, according to George Herbert Head, is your your ability or your capability to make yourself, to understand yourself as different from other people or from other entities that you are being with in this world. And as well as George Herbert Head proposes that our self is changing, is constantly changing, and we are the concept of ourselves is actually altering and changing through time. The main idea there, class, is you are not you when you are not you when you were just a child. You are a complete different person right now, and you will be a complete different person with the next 5 or 10 years. Why is that? Why is that so? Huh? Because of the fact that you have different feelings, you have different thought patterns. There's a different uh, thought patterns and thought process that you have there in your mind. You have a complete different personality and character or behavior uh, back then, and you'll be having that complete set of differences a few years or a few months from now. Actually, that idea was not actually new. It was also proposed by a philosopher named David Hume. He abolishes the idea, he decimates or abolishes the idea of the concept of self. He said, David Hume said that there's no concept, that the reality of self is just an illusion. There could be no self because the self, the very concept, the very idea and notion of self is always dismantling, always changing, and always disappearing. Hence, therefore, the self, the grandiose narrative of self, is just an illusion. It was quite interesting, right? The idea of David Hume is quite interesting because he proposes, or he pushes for the idea that there's no concept of self. Aside from that, we also have uh, the intellectual and the academic Richard Stevenson. He said that understanding the self is a process wherein you were actually thinking about yourself and your involvement with others. Right? In these involvement uh, relates into how do you separate, you differentiate yourself from an object, an animal, or other entities that you have. It's quite affiliated or quite similar with what George Herbert had said. They have this common link with each other. Moving forward with our discussion for this lecture, I would like to discuss two things. First of all is the idea or the notion of self-concept, this narrative self-concept. The second one is I want to answer why is the process or the experience of understanding the self or knowing who you are is important and even necessary for us in order for us to have a good life, a productive life, and at the end, a happy life. All right, let's move in. Let's first delve into to the idea rather, of self-concept. Basically, this idea is quite simple, right? Uh, this is just the totality or the sum of our beliefs of who we are. This is how we brand and label ourselves. Sometimes this is how this is our beliefs and our perceptions of what is our attributes. When I say attributes, I mean what are our qualities, good qualities. It could be good, it could be bad. Our personality, our behavior, and our characteristics. Now, every single person that has ever lived or will live in the future do have this concept. Why? Because of this concept, we can we could gain our self-esteem and our confidence of ourselves. Maybe we're not conscious of it, or maybe we're conscious of it, but everyone has the idea or the notion of self concept. Some people, they think that they are good in something. Like, for example, they are intelligent, or some people, they are very affectionate. They think to themselves that they're a very friendly, affectionate person that other people or their friends that could rely into. Or other people would think about themselves that they are actually strong, not only physically but also mentally. Now, these are the factors that affects on creating a mental image or a self-image of ourselves. Now, for a few seconds, I want you to think of your self-concept or your self-image. If you're gonna be identifying and putting label in understanding who you are, what would it be? What would be the self-concept that you will be putting in yourself? Go ahead, try it. It's quite good. Your evaluation and your assessment to yourself is sufficient. Now, if I if I will be asked with that similar question, I would probably answer my self concept about myself is I am a very productive person because I like to do things, I like to accomplish things within my life. I would say that I am a very persevering person because I do want to achieve a lot of great things in my life. And because I have this concept of persevering in a very persevering person, a lot of self-image or images or behaviors and personality comes there afterwards. Okay, and also self-concept is not just only about how we perceive and what is our beliefs about who we are right now, but as well as what we want to be, what we aspire to be someday or in the future. This is what you call the self ideal. Okay? You all have your aspirations and your ideal self. You are all students, right? Someday maybe you want to be a business owner, or one day you want to have a family and raise them in a good inducive and a good environment, and you want to be the best person. You want to be the best or a better person than who you are right now, and that is what you call self ideal, right? That is completely different from your self concept of who you are right now and your self idea. Okay? Because that I want you right now, I want you to think of a mental image. I want you to visualize the person that you will become 10 years from now. Are you doing it right now? Okay? And aside from the physical qualities and characteristics, I want you to think about and to evaluate what are the qualities, what are the good characteristics and qualities of that person that is in your mind right now. Okay, go ahead. All right. And what you're thinking right now, as of this moment, that is your self ideal. You could be like that, you could achieve that, you could possibly surpass what you are thinking, what you've been thinking for uh, a while ago. But one thing is for sure, that yourself, the self concept that you have right now, will be different from the self concept that uh, the self concept right now will be different from the self concept that you have before in in the future. Okay, now there are two types of self concept. The first one is you have the positive self concept. For most of people, they do have this good ideas, feelings, and thought patterns about themselves. That's why they are very confident in facing uh, challenges and problems. But not all people have this positive self-concept that they have. Other people, or other people tend to have negative negative self-concept, which is quite sad and quite gloomy. Why? Because they think bad. They think they're very pessimistic about themselves. While on the other hand, having positive self-concept is being optimistic about yourself. Okay, and also there are other the question we need to answer the question on whether how do we how does our self-concept emerge or created. As I said a while ago, understanding the self, or the experience and the process of understanding the self, includes includes a lot of time, because you are building up an image, a character, or a personality. How does this personality or character was created? Well, the first answer could be the cognitive aspect. The cognitive aspect pertains to our mind's ability or capacity to cognitively generalize about what happened in the past. So basically, you do have your memories, right? And these memories from the past, when you were young, until right now, until the very few seconds that you were living, is these are stuck. These are stored in your memory, right? And those memories that you have often gives you a sense of being. That's where you get your attributes. That's where you get your image, your mental image about yourself. It was it is about what you saw, what you experienced before. Like for example, I'm gonna give you an example. When you were a child, you were caught stealing. You were caught stealing by your mom. So that was stored in your memory, and because of the eventuality, or because of these memories that were stuck in your mind, it gives you a feeling or an image or an attribute that is very negative, that is uh, very pessimistic about yourself. It You could associate it, or you could affiliate that memory into a very bad attribute or characteristic about yourself. And it is also true about the opposite of it. If one of your memories tells you that you have done something good, or something that could be commendable, it could give you a positive self concept. Understood? Now, the second one, it's not only our ability to generalize our cognitive experiences, but also our ability to assess and evaluate and to understand our behavior. Remember this, class. Our behavior and how we think is different with each other. Okay? Sometimes there are, or most of the times, what we think is completely separated or is completely different from how we act or how we behave, right? So, uh, our behavior could actually determine and create the self concept or the self image that we have. You think of your past behaviors, you think of your past actions, and because of those actions before, you have created uh, a picture of yourself. Now, uh, for the question of what is the reason or what is the purpose of understanding the self, why do we need to experience or why do we need to engage ourselves in this very tedious and lifelong experience? It is for this a reason. It is for the reason that it would make us a much better person than who we are before. Understanding who you are could help you make great and good choices in life. And assessing and evaluating what you truly are is a way for you to understand and know your qualities, your characteristics as a person. It could be bad, it could be good. But what matters, what's really important here is you can use your knowledge about yourself, about how these knowledge of how you think, how you act, how you behave as a person could really make you could lead you into making good decisions in life. And having good decisions in life would bring you good or great careers in life, and you will be able to lead others and inspire others because of the fact that you have truly and authentically or genuinely understand who you are. Moving on to the last part of our lecture for today, I do want to discuss a specific theory which is called the social identity theory. And why is basically the question of we're gonna try to answer the question of why is society a very important or a significant factor on determining our identity, our self image as a person. Right? As you all know, there are many social factors that surrounds us. Okay, so what do you mean by social factors? there there are religions, there are different kinds of religions, political ideology, philosophy, or not only these things. There are different creeds and principles in lives that we get or that we acquire from the society that we're living in. That's why what I'm saying is the society that we're living in right now is really polar. It's really diverse, and there are many social groups or institutions that actually uh, affects us in many different ways. Sometimes small, or sometimes big. And and unconsciously or even consciously, we are undergoing into a process of changing or reshaping our identity to fit or to uh, to affiliate ourselves to the society that we're living in. Your gender, for example. Uh, Nowadays, we see or we think of gender as not a taboo or as not a forbidden uh, discussion right now because our country is progressing and it is becoming more liberal in our perspective or interpretation about gender, right? But your gender, the reality is your gender right now, how you identify yourself sexually or by gender is shaped by how the society looks at you. And also your status, your class status could actually determine and shape how you think and how you act. If you are a wealthy person, basically you do have a complete different uh, perspective or view about life, which makes you a completely different person to compare to a person that is only a middle in the middle class, or as well as a person that is on the lower class or with the working classes. Or another example is uh, religion, just like what I've said a while ago. Our religion determines our values, our moral standards, and our principles on how we deal with other people. And not just about dealing other people, but also how we give value and determine our our self-worth. That's why you could not isolate or you could not separate the social the societal factors or the societal forces that shapes your identity with your personal your personal convictions and your your personal psychology in life. That's why going back to Alice in Wonderland, Al- Alice as a person really loves, really loves cat, really loves sports like croquet. But since she was in a completely different world right now, a world of distorted reality, she doesn't love or she doesn't adore cats anymore. And there are things included in the novel that doesn't make sense to her anymore because her society is completely different from the society that she was familiar with. And at the end of the story in the Alice in Wonderland, she was able to create a new self, a new image of who she really are. Right? And class, uh, while we are living, as long as we are living in this reality, in this world that we have right now, our search, our search for understanding, or our search for the self or our being, will be a lifelong process. We would always change. The process, the experience will be continuous, right? Until the very last days of our lives. Okay, and that is social identity theory in a nutshell. Okay? Society as one of the primal movers and factors on creating, building our identity as a person. Now, before I end this lecture for today, I do want to have a very short exercise. Not that we are exercising physically or having a jumping jack or etc. etc. But um, since we're talking about self identity, self concept, and the notion of understanding the self, I do want to I do want to give you an idea of self meditation. Okay, I don't know if you have heard the idea of self meditation, but for 2 to 3 minutes, I'm gonna be teaching you how to meditate. Now, what could be the positive benefits or gains of meditation? First of all, you will your mental health would improve. You will be more calm. You will be more observant about the things and the realities that you're living with, and it would make you a much more better person that you were, if and that is if you are practicing it often or daily. So first of all, I want you to close your eyes for a while. Okay, this is just a very simple mechanic because I want to introduce to you how meditation works, and because I believe that everyone, much especially students right now, they could benefit greater into engaging into meditation. All right. So without further ado, let us dig in with meditation. First things first, I want you to feel comfortable or relax with the position that you are right now. I want you to breathe in and breathe out. And as you feel yourself really comfortable as of the moment, what I want you to do is close your eyes. Okay? Are you closing your are you doing it? Very good. And as you close your eyes, I want you to feel every parts of your body. You don't have to touch it. Okay? You don't have to touch your body. When I say feel, I want you to be conscious and mindful about what's going on in your body right now. Focus on your breathing. I want you to focus on every sensation that you are experiencing right now. It could be on your back, on your shoulder. It could be at your hips, or it could also be at your feet. Every sensation counts. Okay. Now do that for a couple of minutes. Okay, and you will be amazed. You will be actually amazed that there are lots of things that is going on within your body that is left unchecked, that you are not recognizing and you are not addressing. Maybe you will start to feel ache at certain parts of your body, or you would start to feel a tingling sensation or a different kind of feeling or experience. Now, when it comes to your mind, okay, when it comes to your thoughts, there are lots of thoughts and ideas that will come to you. What I want you to do is I don't want you to cling on it. You are seeing it, you are visualizing it, that impression, that idea, but you don't have to be attached or cling to it. Just let it pass. Eventually, it would pass. And you will be amazed that while you are practicing this, at the moment is there are a lots of memories, there are lots of sensations and feelings that would arise and that would emerge within you. All right, continue to feel it, continue to experience meditation. Now, you can now open your eyes. Now, it could be effective. It could actually be effective at for some people at the very early part that they are doing it. But if you don't experience, or if nothing happens, you don't have to be frustrated or to be despair. Don't think that I did not experience what Sir Julaton is saying. I am a completely different person. There's something wrong with me, etc., etc. That's not it. Okay, developing a sense of mindfulness and consciousness, or simply, or to put it simply, developing the ability to meditate the right way takes time. You cannot do it. You could not perfect meditating just for a single or a few days. It would take time. And once you learn to practice meditation, being conscious and mindful of your body, you can do it anywhere. You can do it before you sleep or after sleeping. You could do it when you are feeling depressed or anxious, sad. And you will be amazed. You will be astonished with the benefits, with the massive benefits that you can get into meditating. Okay. That's our lecture for today. I really hope that you've learned a lot. So just to sum it up, today we've learned about something about Alice in Wonderland, and why is the story of Alice in Wonderland really important to our discussion for today, the questions of who you are and what Alice said or replied to the caterpillar. The second one is we did understand the very notion of our concept of understanding the self, the process and the experiences of understanding the self. The third one is self concept. Fourth one is the importance of knowing who you are. And the last one is analyzing and understanding social identity theory. Thanks for having me. I hope you have a great day. Goodbye.